Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pathways to Excellence. It's my honor to welcome to the show today Malaysia's finest debaters, the members of the historic best performing team from Malaysia in the World Schools Debate Championship. I have the pleasure of speaking right here to Yang Ming from Subway College and also to Umar from Garden International School. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Alright, cool. So, you guys are the best performing team from Malaysia at the WSDC, and you interview on Bernama and a whole bunch of things like that right there. How do you feel having represented Malaysia on such an incredible stage?
I think it's excellent. Like, the experience that you get to represent your country doesn't come very often, and especially since for all of us this is our one last shot at making it all those dreams come true after so long having spent time debating. So there's a lot of pressure that's put on you, not just on your own personal legacy, but what you represent and having others' hopes on you. So I think being able to fulfill that is genuinely one of the most rewarding experiences one can have. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of like gratefulness on our end. Is that we know that we are standing on the shoulders of giants that paved the way for us to be where we are here today. But we also know that we carry the baggage of previous teams' shortcomings that unfortunately they wouldn't make it this far. So it just allows us to cherish this moment so much more and be thankful for those who allowed us to be where we are right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing.
And here we have essentially that famous, that single moment right there when you were on the stage.
Instagram story.
Your Instagram story.
Yeah, it was taken on this exact phone.
This exact phone. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh. Okay, wow. Well, congratulations on your incredible achievements once again. And yeah, so maybe, like you guys mentioned that this is your last shot, right? But as far as I know, right here, like you guys are still relatively young right there. I think you just like finished high school, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So the age limit for World Schools is that we have to, I think, not be 20 years old by the time the tournament starts. So actually, all of us are still allowed to come back next year, but a lot of us are going to university. So like our captain Arjun is already in London right now. Umar is going to uni next year. I'm going to uni next year. Actually, all of us are going to uni next year. So next year we're probably taking a break from debating to do other things as well. Yeah. So this is really our last shot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Pathways to Excellence is essentially a podcast that's focused on, well, sharing inspirational educational stories, and at least on a personal level, I feel that, well, learning how to debate, to argue, to use critical evaluation is something that's incredibly important in modern society, and you guys are essentially exemplars of that. So to kind of start us off right here, can you share with us how you started to take part in debate? Because like getting to the level of winning well, a semi-final place in the WSDC is no mean feat.
I started in 2019, so early 2019 I went to my first few competitions. So I was exposed to it through my school, running a extracurricular after-school program, like 2 months long with MIDP, so that's the Malaysian Institute of Debate and Public Speaking. And so you have a lot of outreach programs at schools. So that's where I first knew about debating. Like, I think everyone has a general conception of what it is, but the activity in the competitive scene is different entirely. So as I started to participate, I was like, this is something that I genuinely enjoy, and it's also something where I can reasonably see some progress happening. And especially since COVID hit in, that's when a lot of the other activities which you traditionally do, you can't anymore, right? But debating was quick to adapt. Like within the first month of lockdowns, they were already hosting online competitions. Teams all around Asia were coming on and fighting it out on Zoom, and I was like, okay, this is something where I could invest my time into and be an extracurricular that has been yielding results. And you know, during COVID, what else can we do? Why not try it out? And 2 years later, we're here, so yeah.
Wow, it's like, you know, people complain about COVID all the time, so like that's a really refreshing perspective. Thank you for sharing that. Well, that being said though, so then here's the second part of my question. Of the set of different possible things that you could have done during
Yeah.
COVID. I don't know, like maybe, well, volunteering, like to some sort of like project, raising funds maybe. I guess like maybe, well, would either of you share what part of your personality resonated, I guess, like with the debate? I'm sorry, I think that we didn't actually go into your story.
No.
But yeah, maybe you can share as well.
I think mine is just really brief, so I'll keep it brief. It's just that I did a lot of like amateur speaking in primary school, and then like when I came to high school, I never expected to do debate until like 2019. Like shout out to Chongling Private High School Debating Club. They organized an inter-class debate tournament. They needed a non-debate club member to join, and then my friends reached out to me. We won the junior year category, so it was like really fun. And then I was like recommended to join the debate club, and then, yeah, I guess it went from then on. I actually got into contact with the national team, like Malaysia World Schools Debate Education Society. Shout out to them as well. I was actually part of Team Malaysia's development squad from 2021. So yeah, I guess that's when I got exposed to the World Schools format of debating. So yeah, that's how we got here today. Just a lot of help along the way, a lot of institutions that made me who I am. So yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, alright. So, would you share a little bit about like what made World Schools special for you? Like in a very general sense, I guess. Like whether it's the format or like different things right there. What's special about this time that you've gone?
I think specifically about World Schools format, there's not a lot that is different from conventional debating, apart from it places a lot of emphasis on your stylistic manner, like how you speak. It also takes a more global context, so it's like you don't have to box yourself into like specific local contexts, so it gives us a more like holistic view of the entire world. But I guess what resonated with me with debating a lot was just kind of like, growing as a kid, like people say I yap a lot, so I just gotta find some place to yap a lot when people listen as well.
And you got a productive outlet.
Yeah, it's just kind of the outlet to express myself a bit more. But yeah, that's kind of like why I like speaking a lot. But yeah, that's just
Good. Okay, cool. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think World Schools, it becomes the epitome of most people's high school debate experience. Like the titular goal is to eventually reach that, and fortunately I was able to be a part of that. I think specifically for why it appealed in debating was that I think it was a combination of both something that I enjoy in terms of the competitiveness of the activity, as well as it's kind of have some level of creativity, but also engaging within like things like facts, like actual facts. And then
facts.
You're saying that like very sorry.
there was also something where I was reasonably could see some progress. Like I think there's lots of activities where people enjoy, but then it becomes very tiring because they don't see the immediate like fruits of their labor. But I think debating was a combination of both that it was able to work out successfully. So yeah.
And I have here an article that reads the following. Okay, so the team had broken the glass ceiling for the national debate team by defeating the likes of Team England, New Zealand, Poland, France, Germany, Zimbabwe, the Czech Republic, and Australia throughout the competition. The next paragraph reads, Team Malaysia was also the only non-Western and non-native English team standing, as they shared this milestone with Team Scotland, Canada, and the USA. So like, I guess like, how do you feel about, well, being able to do that? And do you feel that maybe it was something that was exceptionally challenging for you? Or do you feel that maybe, well, there were parts of your background that really prepared you for this?
Yeah. So this is my second year returning to the team, so I have the experience of doing debate at World Schools last year as well.
Wow.
I think the great thing about if you would like to call it that, yeah. I think a lot of criticism previously towards the World Schools format was that it was very Western centric, but I think things are becoming better. There's a lot more representation. Like judges are being trained when it comes to evaluating stylistic rigor to not place an emphasis on things like accent, but to evaluate it as part of persuasiveness. And I think Malaysia always has had great speakers, but it was a bit of a challenge to compete against those who had far more native proficiency in that. So I think this year it was where there was lots of other Asian teams. So in the quarterfinals, there were 3 other Asian teams. So there were Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka, and there was one more.
Yes.
Was it Singapore?
It was India, bro.
India, yeah.
Oh.
India was the top
No,
breaking
Singapore.
team this year.
Okay. Got you.
So there was quite like a bit of representation there as well, and it's great to see people and like everyone else succeeding.
Okay.
So yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, okay. One might say maybe that you know, like if you went to let's say an international school, then perhaps like is your first language English by any chance, or is it like some other language?
Oh yeah, I learn and speak mostly in English.
I
Yeah.
see. Okay. Cool. And then in your case,
I come from a Chinese background, so
yeah, I was like, thinking about that for a
my,
bit.
yeah, my first language was Chinese fully. Like apart from debating and apart from like probably more formal settings, like I really like speaking Chinese a bit more because I'm just more used to it. 我比较喜欢讲华语，你知道吗？
Are you sure?
Yeah, I really like speaking
Wow.
Chinese. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Wow. And that makes it like all the more amazing because like your first language was Chinese and then you eventually went on to participate in an international English debate competition. So like how does that like happen over the course of time?
I guess it definitely helped from a young age. Even though my parents were semi-fluent in English, they recognized the importance of probably like having a different language apart from like mother tongue, which is equally important. So they sent me to British Council when I was a kid. I did a lot of English lessons over there, and I was fortunate enough to have a lot of good English teachers growing up. Like, I'm not sure if they're gonna see this, but I'm gonna shout out Mr. Su from high school. Like, he was an inspiration for me. Like, I really enjoyed writing and I really enjoyed speaking because he was just like one of the role models that I had in the language. So yeah, I guess it's also like really fortunate for me to be able to represent this because it's not that conventional for people from Chinese independent schools to make it to the national team. Like I'm probably like one of the few with a lot of like predecessors who are equally amazing or probably better than I am. It's just that so it's a really rare occurrence and I'm fortunate to be part of that rare occurrence. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for breaking those stereotypes out there. Okay then. So, I guess when you think about debating, like throughout your entire career so far, right? I guess what do you feel have been some of the benefits that you've received from participating in debate?
I think the most direct one will probably be critical thinking. And this is a buzzword that gets thrown around a bit, but I think it's to when you look at things, the surface level of it isn't all there is to it. Like, for example, okay, let's look in the sphere of academics. So in a lot of like history or economics, I think people tend to struggle with is evaluation. That when you're making a point, you're not just evaluating a claim independently, but what are the certain drawbacks to it? What are opposing angles that could challenge the holisticness of the claim? So if you're looking at a historical event, was it just the actions of a great leader, or is it the underlying like socio-economic circumstances of the time? So these are things that you get to look at when you're evaluating claims and debating, and then that translates into a lot of your real-world experiences. So it's a larger focus on one, making those observations, and then the secondary part of it is persuading others of it. Like, I think everyone has great ideas around the world, but making it into claims that people actively want to listen and engage with is a different game together. And I think debating is what lets you develop those skills that even if people criticize debating like, oh, it's all a simulated environment, but I think a lot of debaters take away those skills that even if you're training, how do you win a debate? The sort of soft things like making sure that you're catering towards the audience, using emotional rhetoric are things that you take out of that sport. And when you're also using it for things like interviews or when you're speaking to people to convince them of something, you also have those intangible qualities that even if you don't actively, consciously realize, it ends up becoming part of the palette of things that you have. So yeah.
I fully agree. I guess for me, it's more of like, because I just really like hanging out with people, I'm a more sociable person, like outside of the professional setting where Umar has already mentioned. I think debating allows you to recognize it's just the diversity of like humans and people in general. It's just that it's hard for you to convince someone using the same like rhetoric or the same ideas as you are, and it's also hard for people to just look at you as a debater and say, oh, like I'm convinced that you're smarter than me, I'm just gonna believe what you say. Obviously, it's not how it is. So I guess what it allows you to do is just to just understand like the complexity of certain issues, to also just recognize that you are not probably like as knowledgeable or the most knowledgeable person out there, so it just pushes you to get to know a lot more about things and people in general. So yeah, I guess indirectly it does help me be a bit more sociable with the people around me. So yeah, I just like making friends a bit more. It's easier to talk to people. So yeah, I guess it's a really great conversation starter to know that you're a debater as well, you know.
So I guess, do you guys feel that debating was something that you guys naturally took to, or do you feel that, well, there were like some specific challenges that you faced along the way as you were developing that skill?
I don't think it came naturally. I feel like, but I guess like some part of me is that I like talking a lot. So the preference to being able to have conversations with people kind of helps. But I feel like debating itself, it's hard to come naturally, because in order for you to persuade someone, you need to know things, you need to learn how to tell people things. So a lot of it comes from the training that I've received, which I'm really fortunate to have. So I guess, yeah, it's like the talent is what, I guess you don't have an inherent talent, but you have an inherent interest or preference to speak out about things that you like. And because you have that interest, it's what's that keeps you going and keeps you like training to the end where you get to a level that you are satisfied with yourself in.
I see, cool. So if you could maybe walk us through perhaps the kind of training that you received as you prepared for world schools, that would be great. So could you maybe share a little bit?
Okay.
Yeah, so our training is under MWSDES, so it's the national team, under our great coaches Mai Moksin
Yes,
and
sir.
Daphne Wong.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
The frequency of the trainings goes up closer to the day of the competition. So like in the weeks leading up to it, 6 times a week. It's quite intensive, and we do a variety of things like researching for our prepared cases, also just practice debating, working on specific drills of skills that we want to improve. So you can think of it like in order to be a successful debater, you need a basket of different things. So you have to see which of the things you're good at, bad at, and improve on those.
Yeah.
And each people will have different levels. And then we also have friendly spars with other national teams. So we'll have like Zoom calls. Some of them are impromptu debates. Some of them are the things we've been preparing for. So it allows us to not only reflect on ourselves, but also learn from how others have been improving and incorporate that into our training.
Yeah. I think we're also really fortunate to have MWS as an organization, like because they're an NGO, so they also still are able to fund our expenditures and all that. So we get to like every month we minimum go to at least like one international tournament, like a prep tournament to go to. So it's like we've been to quite a few. We were also able to go to Thailand the week before Vietnam to go to like Asia World Schools, which is like the final like prep tournament. So yeah, it's a lot of competitions that allows us to compete against other teams in a competitive setting, that allows us to just realize what we lack in like certain things before we head on to Vietnam and all that. Yeah.
Wow, you guys are very fortunate as well to have like great sponsors and also like people to assist you on that journey.
Yeah.
Well, okay then. Just out of curiosity, so then, not sure if you have seen this. Something kind of interesting to think about right here.
We're interested as well? Probably not.
So like when you think of MWS, so then like is that the organization that runs the WSDC website?
Yeah, they run WSCC Team Malaysia. So yeah.
I see,
it's
okay, interesting, cool. Have you seen a recent tool that, have you been keeping up with?
MetaMaster.
MetaMaster. AI generated. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I actually signed up for a free trial.
Wow. Thank you so much for funding next year's team.
That's what I'm saying right there.
Thank you. Alright.
It's great.
I was just gonna say right there, like this is so like it's cool that your organization is just like entrepreneurial, like comes out with like things like these right here, because like you can literally see it right here, like debate stuff of this nature right here. It tells you like all your matter files right there. It tells you what points to actually use right there. Which then in turn kind of brings me to something that I'm curious about. How do you feel about artificial intelligence, and like do you feel that it's going to end up helping debaters, or do you think that it's going to well, in some way help or hurt debaters?
Okay. So I think we can look at like what it helps and what it kind of inhibits on. So it's like, I think AI as a tool to help debaters is obviously like how it helps students like find information, synthesize information, allows us to read certain things in like short amounts of time. So it's like if we're able to generate matter from a certain thing, or we're able to ask ChatGPT on certain bullet points of like an important issue like Somaliland and Somalia, like etc. Like it allows us to synthesize and like learn from that information, but also at the same time it does come at the disadvantage is that like conventional and like cliche arguments against AI in academia is that it's not verified. It's probably not verified, which is the main like thing. It kind of like just assumes that it's true, and it's like quite authoritative in a way that you're able to just believe it in the end. But I guess specifically for debating itself is that because for World Schools formats and for most debate formats, when we do impromptu rounds, which is like 30 minutes or an hour of preparation time, we are not allowed to research material. What we're worried about right now is that if we have AI, and if we have it in an online setting, it's hard for us to regulate which debater is using AI generative tools to just come up with arguments and then just read off like your AI. So obviously that does kind of impede on the integrity of debating as like an academic sport itself. But I guess with regulation, it's definitely a tool for good for preparation and all that. Like personally, it does help me a lot with finding new materials. But I guess at the end of the day, it still has to be coupled up with like our human or like our manual ability to like just go on The Economist and then like scroll through some pages for news to like look at what we want.
Yeah.
Okay, right, cool. So then, kind of thinking then about debating at large, for one last question here. So I guess like personally speaking, well, how do you feel that debating has helped you in broadening your perspectives as a whole?
I think debating gives me a more holistic view about like the world that I live in. Like as a child, even though we are exposed to a lot of information on news, like certain things happen and then you see it on the newspaper, you see it on your 8 o'clock news, like wherever channel you turn to. But I guess debating adds to that aspect is that it gives you a more globalized view. It's like probably as a Malaysian kid coming from Penang or in KL, you wouldn't be exposed to what's happening in probably Libya or what's happening in like Canada or like South America, etc. I think this is the initial stage where it exposes you to more information because you are forced to understand it in a debate. But I think it also allows you to be more critical about what's going on around you. Is that we tend to blindly follow certain information that we see from seemingly credible news sources, like without looking at probably potential biases or like potential like opinions that the people who are presenting it to us have. So I think debating allows you to critically examine like whether or not these things are true, whether or not these are legitimate arguments or viewpoints, that it allows us to filter like information, which is I think it's quite important since everyone has access to information and internet right now.
Okay, cool.
So I think angle that most people don't consider is that debating makes the process of knowledge consolidation rewarding, because there's a lot of global issues which are important for people to be well informed and educated on, but they don't see the immediate yield and endpoint of why should I educate myself on all these things, or even if you do there's a sea of information, how do you decide between what's relevant, what's not. So now when I wouldn't say debating is the endpoint itself, but if you can see that these are arguments which help you advance in a activity that places a lot of emphasis on knowledge, then that is when, even if you don't see it as immediately relevant to your life, you can see it's relevant to other people's lives, or at the very least it's relevant towards you advancing in this activity. So people who traditionally don't want to read on every single thing in the world as often can now see that actually there is some part of it that makes it fruitful, and I think that's a good way to look at different issues. Like even if you don't see it as important, it becomes something that is fulfilling in the end. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess like, do you feel that this process was kind of very compartmentalized into like debate in particular, or do you feel that there was some meaningful ways that like your education at large kind of like intersected with it as well?
I think I'm fortunate to have a syllabus like IGCSEs and A-levels focus and have an emphasis on a lot on like critical thinking and evaluation. So I think debating intersects a lot with that aspect of education itself. But I think debating is, we always see debating as like an extracurricular sport because of how like extended the knowledge base has to be apart from our conventional syllabus. So I would say there's some overlap, but I do think that our education at large also does. I think our education system at large differs quite a bit with debating as like an activity, since we have standardized testing, we have quite fixed systems of like teaching the syllabus and understanding the syllabus. So I think the majority of it still is a breakaway from like the normal like curriculum. Yeah.
Right. Cool. And that being said, though, of course, we do see that just because they are separate, though, it doesn't mean that like your team members haven't achieved excellence in some ways. Yeah. I heard that your captain Arjun got a 45 for the IB.
Oh yeah. So Arjun Gunalan, our captain, he's now in LSE taking law. He has a 45 out of 45 in his IB. He's an absolutely amazing person. Shout out to our team member Nguyen Ning as well. Her AS result, she got an A in literature with a 99. That's more like, you never heard of that before. 99, that's insane. Congrats.
Amazing, cool. Yeah. So, will you tell me a little bit about your team, like what the experience was like for you to get to know like people like Nguyen Ning, Arjun, and then like also
Yao Ming,
right? Yeah, like there were two names. So like, what was that experience like? What was the dynamic like for you as well?
Wow. I think debating is a really fun thing. Is that we have a running joke within the team, is that if we weren't debating, we probably wouldn't be friends with each other because of our differing personalities. Like all of us have different interests, preferences, but I think debating brought us together. Like how in 2020, actually Umar and Nguyen Ning and like I, in some like sense, were part of like an online debating like thing for schools debaters, like. And then Arjun was classmates with Nguyen Ning from Help You International, so they were friends. They won nationals together. They beat both of us in the same nationals in 2020. Yao Ming is from
competitors to friends.
Yeah, Yao Ming is from Australia International School, so like he got to debating through like MIDP as well, where Umar also went in the past, and then. I was part of the development team with Yao Ming, so a lot of us come from different backgrounds, but somewhat we're still interconnected with each other, and I feel like that brought us together, like to have this like final five, of course. Yeah.
I see. Cool. Amazing. Do you feel that like much of your relationship was built through, I guess, like alignment on things, or do you think it was built through like conflict?
Disalignment? Oh, okay.
So you want to say this?
You go lah, you got
I go. Okay.
Some ideas to say.
Damn. Okay. So I think in terms of like friends, so I think we told a really professional and personal line, is that because what happens in our personal lives, and we are really close friends in our personal lives, and we keep it that way. But we recognize the fact that debating is like, it's very cutthroat lah sometimes, because there confirmed going to be disagreements, there are going to be conflicts, there are going to be disalignments with how we view a certain case, whether or not we think someone is performing or not, whether someone is pulling their weight. I think all of us had our fair share of criticism and arguments within the team. I think that, I know there's a cliche line saying that the arguments like bring us together, but I feel like at some points it does raise the concern of whether or not to what extent it does bring us together, then it splits us apart. But I think what keeps us together as a team and what prevents us from actually splitting apart is the personal bonds that we have. So I think it's just important that we kept that personal and professional line to make sure that regardless of how much we bash each other or criticize each other, at the end of the day it's still for the benefit of the team, it's still for the benefit of ourselves, and yeah, we're still besties at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, having said that though, well, through all that chaos and through all of
chaos
is correct? Chaos is right? Okay.
Sure, let's go chaos.
That's my tagline in the team. Like whenever I want to do something, I'll say I want to cause chaos.
He caused chaos. He causes a lot of chaos.
Well, causing chaos nonetheless led you to have the best performance that Malaysia has ever shown. So I guess facts. Well, I guess would you share what you feel set your team apart from others, leading to that best performer recognition?
Wow. Like from ours.
What is it that made Team Malaysia special in your view? Wow. You could answer from oh my gosh, I love those people, but I fight with them all the time. Like chaos, but
you want to say this? Like it's how we differ from other national teams, right? Or like
what do you feel makes you special?
Well, I thought it was about our old teams.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
You want me to say first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think there's nothing much that sets us apart from like other teams. Like obviously the team dynamic differs from everyone. Like in some sense we're all like incomplete people that kind of sought completion in ourselves in debating. So it's like we recognize that all of us are, sometimes we have some things that we cannot share to someone else, but we get to share with these people who we see as like-minded as us, who are progressive as us, because we're quite liberal-minded and all that. So we're quite accepting of each other's differences. I think that's what makes us a team. I don't think there's like a specific thing that sets us apart from other teams. Like then again, because other national teams also have fun, also vibe. Like we play like cards with each other, we play Monopoly with each other all the time. Yeah, we play all that lah. So it's like it doesn't set us apart. Like we would say, although it's kind of cliche that we also don't really like saying that we're a sport itself, but it's like how team sports you have like people, the dressing room and the locker room is like really cohesive. Like everyone vibes, everyone talks to each other after like professional settings. Yeah, I think that's what makes us a team, and I think that's what's really valuable, or like I guess that's the most valuable thing that I got from like this year as like a team member. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's a combination of experience in debate and also that each of us has some unique thing to bring to the table. So, although some skills overlap, I think each person in the team had a distinct field of expertise, or that no one is the same speaker in some way. Like, it's not just about some people are better at economics and some people are better at feminism motions and topics. It's also about the way in which we think is also very different. Like some people immediately resort to one type of argument, or some of us, because we have a wealth of experience in other types of debates that are just not world schools, so we know what judges like, what teams are likely to argue, and that wealth of experience ultimately comes back down to how do you make something special out of that debate. And because each person has their own past, because we were fortunate to have lots of experience in debate until this point, so then it comes a bit about everyone sharing it with each other that leads to creating something that maybe if we did not have as much experience, we probably wouldn't have gotten there. So it's a bit of everyone not thinking the same way, that our debate personalities are sort of different, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Amazing, cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. Well, I guess, what would you say are some of your most cherished memories from being in this team all this while?
Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna save the part where we cannot say off the camera, because there are a lot of fun stuff that we did off the camera that we cannot mention.
Yeah, I also don't know what is this.
yeah, we don't know also. But I think the more, let me think, there's so many things that we did, but I think it's just that like we do a lot of bantering. Like I think the banter is really fun. Like we make fun of ourselves, make fun of each other. Like I think it just pulls us like really close together. I think like specific things that make it memorable for me is that because I like to eat and because I like to hang out with a lot of people, so every time that we have an excursion together, like we go to Arjun's house for an online tournament, like his house is like basically in Damansara also, so it's a really fun yeah, it's a really fun thing to hang out with them. This year we went to a lot of countries. We went to Singapore, we went to Thailand and Vietnam. Like every one of those trips does bring back a really fond memory where we hung out together, we have fun together. Some points we did cry together for certain things. I think that those were the cherished moments. It's the influx of emotions at that time where it just kind of leaves it, even though you've left the country for like 2 or 3 months already. Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. Mine, I think Thailand was pretty late. Yeah, I remember like the break ceremony.
I can only imagine what happened there.
Yeah, 7-Eleven.
Oh,
7-Eleven.
some funny.
Not the dance class, but
No.
Oh, okay,
Sorry,
yeah.
we are not
debate
21.
nerds.
21, yeah, 21 years old can drink alcohol. We are not 21.
But yeah, it was quite fun because I think the cool thing is that the community is very accepting of people wanting to like celebrate their achievements. So for example, when we were our Malaysia was announced as like first ranking team in Thailand, everyone was like, whoa, it's China. So we have the video. Whenever sometimes I come across the video again, like I smile a bit, just seeing everyone so happy and like the whole like whoa, like that.
It's
quite cool.
It's very vibey, it's very vibey. It's very vibey. Like when we won the quarterfinals against Zimbabwe in Vietnam, it was like in the middle school, and then it was like really hot, like the venue, and then like all of us just like crying and sweaty, and all of us just huddling together. It's just that, and Umar was crying from the way down, the same as I am. Like we went down like seven floors, and then at the end of those 7 floors, all of us were still crying at each other. It was just amazing. It's just one of the most, it's just the funniest experience ever, but it's just really memorable. That you got to see each other's vulnerable sides.
Did you find any unexpected things along the way as you kind of went through like debate, in addition to those like memories, things that you hadn't even imagined like at the outset that you learned?
I think because I was also an alternate from last year's team, so we knew each other for quite some time since like 2022 already. There was nothing unexpected about each other's personalities. I think we were all like the same, like what we do, and then I don't think there was anything like specifically unexpected. It's just that every memory that we had like is just different. Like I used to be afraid of heights, and then when we went to Universal Studios together, we went on one of the cyclones. It was just the funniest thing ever. Like it was so fun. Like I think it just solved my fear of heights with the team. Like, I can't believe Team Malaysia did that to me. That was, I guess off my mind. That's the more unexpected thing that kind of related to it. But yeah, that's
the first time I did roller coaster actually. My whole life I never did roller coaster.
Really?
Yeah, Universal Studios.
Wow. Okay. Great. Alright, so your head coach, my Moxie, said
True.
that you're optimist Moxie.
Yes, sir.
You're awesome. Alright, cool. So it's no exaggeration that you put in thousands of hours in order to break that record. Do you think that's like literally true?
Yeah, I think
Cumulatively.
like I think this year we did calculate like more than we never really like clocked in, clocked out kind of thing, but it was just an estimate because we used to have 2 trainings a week, to 3 to 4 to a month or 2 months before like the competition. We had like 6 days of training, so yeah, cumulatively there was like,
and then weekends also, like the whole weekend, so like that's gone. Yeah.
So like you basically spent like the majority of like the last year, like past few years actually.
Like we had to space out all of our extracurriculars. Like we had to space it all out for debating.
I see. Wow. So like that's how many hours of commitment per week?
It started off, so the trainings normally take from 8:30, like, and then end at around like 12 o'clock in the morning, etc. Because so around like 4 to 5 hours. So it started off like 10 hours a week until like 6 days, and then we count the same time. And then on holidays we had like a week or 2 weeks of holiday boot camps. Like we just did like full days of training for like 4 or 5 days, I think. Yeah. So it was a lot of hours put into it.
Wow, amazing. Okay, cool. So then, alright, so they have trailblazed a path for future Team Malaysia, and I am certain that this will not be the last time our national team reaches the semi-finals. So those were Coach Nai's words right there. So, what do you wish or hope for all future national Malaysia teams to know about, or to perhaps learn from your experiences?
I want them to win one day, like I think there's an expectation that many people have a dream of, like, we want to set the next milestone. Although we didn't do it this year, I think it'll be an honor to be surpassed, because that is what like the whole saying, future, like past generations have built this up, and then we are leveraging that, and if someone hopefully will use this as like inspiration for the future, because I think there's a lot of norms that like Malaysia will always lose in octo-finals curse, and then next become quarter-finals, so it'll be a gradual process, but eventually one day it will happen. Like, I got hope, man. Yeah.
I think for me it would be like, just in general, debating has always been a bit of an obstacle for a lot of Asian countries. Like up until even the world universities like sector, we only had like we only had like a world champion coming from an Asian university in 2022, which was from Bangladesh, and then 2023 in Madrid, like a Filipino institution won it, which was Ateneo like University. Yeah. So I think to quote one of like the more famous world finalists from Ateneo as well. Unfortunately, they were not able to win it, but they were finalists for like quite a long times. They said that they wouldn't want the achievements right now to be seen as something that's historic in the future. I guess it's just we want it to be a norm. Like we wouldn't want 2023 to be an anomaly. I guess like our goal this year was still to be making it to the finals. Unfortunately, we could not do that. But we hope that for years to come, it won't just be like, oh, 2023 was the semi-finals year. It's like 2024, 2025 are all semi-finals years. It's like probably like 2030 we're gonna win something. It's like we just hope it's consistently from that on. Yeah, I think it's just like the sky's the limit probably for us. Yeah.
I see, amazing. Cool. Well, I guess if you were to give your personal best advice to any young debater out there that's just looking to venture on this sport, I guess in the future, then what would you give as advice?
I think there used to be some form of clear direction of what you want. Like most people have the idea that we want to surpass a certain milestone, or like the complete opposite, which is that I just want to do it for the experience and fun. I think it doesn't have to be that way. It can be a combination of both. But it's good to. I don't think there's anything wrong with setting standards for yourself, and if there's a aim that you want to achieve, it's always good because that's what drives you to put in the extra hours to make sure it happens. I think with the opportunities that are coming up now, like even post-COVID, those things still remain. Like there's so much more knowledge, opportunities, connections that you can make from the debate world. And if you started off young, that's great. You have lots of time. But even if you don't, there's always latecomers who like end up booming in the sport as well, and they do very well. So take advantage of what's around you. Reach out to people, because I think in the community there's a very healthy norm, I think, of people in the past providing advice and support to people who are just starting out, and like people even doing it for free. Reach out to alumni of the team, or even from your old schools if you have any. I think people will be very willing to lend a hand. Like if you have that aim already, just you use and take advantage of the opportunities that are there, because there will be people who want to help.
I agree with him. I think what's strong for Team Malaysia is that we have a really strong alumni network. Like Mai wasn't part of Team Malaysia because she only started in university, and right now she's stepping down, and our new head coach Daphne was actually captain of the 2019 team, and the development squad has always been coached by alumni. But I think to add on, like my advice probably would just be in general for everyone who wants to do something, is that to find the correct group of people that you associate and you affiliate with. Is that because I think I've had my fair share of like ups and downs when it comes to like we have to like have the right group of people to tell you when to have some humility, like to know when you realize that you need to learn more from, but also to build you up when you need them the most. Because I feel like a lot of debaters don't share the privilege of that. Is that even my upbringing is that when I was like 15 or 16, when I first got into a team last year in 2022, I was actually like one of the top 5, but then I was bumped down to an alternate because I had commitment issues, and then in the end I didn't perform. At that point in time, it was like quite of a low point in my life. I had like people calling me the weak link in the team and all that. So it's like finding the right people to build you up when it's necessary, and finding the people who will support you when you realize that there's so much more for you to gain from this activity, I think is the most important thing that you need to, I think that's the most important thing. I feel it's a bit underrated that we kind of focus a lot on ourselves, when in the end debating is quite a team thing, so we need to find the correct team and correct people to hang out with and to build up our careers with. Yeah.
Right, so you mentioned at the very start of this interview essentially that, well, what you experienced in a sense was about standing on the shoulders of giants. And even as you go forward into the future, so like you've just told me about like how you experience assistance, help from like successive like generations of like people who were involved in WSTC and the debating community in the past. So how would you like to, I guess like in a sense, serve as a giant for the next future? How would you like to contribute your strength towards the next generation of debaters in days ahead?
Right, so as a disclaimer, I don't think I'm a giant yet. I think there's so much more for me to gain. I feel like personally this year I think we had a lot of like although the team is like really all contributory, I think a lot of us like Arjun, Wan Ning, and Umar and Yang Ming all like outperformed expectations. They did absolutely amazing. I think they should be called giants for this year's team. But I think in some capacity, I think that I'm coming back to coach. Like even though I still want to pursue debating, probably in university, probably like after my A2s, I'm coaching Team Malaysia's development squad next year. I am taking over as my high school's like head coach right now with like a few alumni. So it's like we're trying to build up that. We're trying to reignite that passion for debating for a lot of people, because sometimes it's like the hype might have gone through since 2020 and 2021 for some schools and some institutions. We want to rebuild that up. Just want to make sure that we contribute as much as possible in what we can lah. But also at the same time, it's just that knowing that our potential has not ended yet. Like we still have so much more to achieve in our own capacity to like inspire more people in the future. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Check something. Okay, cool. All right. So then, my last question then for all. So, what do you hope will be your legacy upon this earth?
You want to start first?
In debating, I mean,
In any general sense?
I want to have a family, man.
Your mom is gonna cry.
I think debating is very cool. In university, we have 4 shots, so
You're gonna go to WUDC?
yeah. Don't win, we take masters. No, lose in masters,
So
take
then
PhD.
lah, yeah lah, always do that lah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so what's your legacy?
But I agree. I want someone to like feel that I was able to play a role in their life, because I think for a lot of debaters who start out in high school, there will be one person who was able to like inspire and get them into it, and then eventually become highly successful. I think even if I don't have like someone who's been under my wing be extremely successful, I think it'll be good to know that at least a few people have decided to keep on, and this like the positive impact. I agree with all the school circuit stuff. I think Malaysia, now that we no more COVID already, we can go out walking and stuff like that. We can go to make sure the school scene comes back again, because that's where I started lah, and I benefited a lot from it. So I think someone else in the future. I think it's all about finding the people who want to be interested in debating. Like everyone, if you always ask all the famous people, that they will ask them, how do you get started? And you always be the very off chance things, like the one time they decided to attend class. Like that is everyone's retirement post on Facebook. On my first day of high school, I decided to walk through level 3 A04 classroom, and then after that it became like, and it all started from there. Like
Super random, right? Like Haruki Murakami decided to write a novel because he saw a hotfly in the
yeah, someone like that.
I think I can write a novel. I think I can win the WUDC. Your time has yet to come, so watch out.
Yeah.
I guess mine would be like on a personal level. It's just that I don't hope for much, because I don't know what the future holds. Like I might suddenly get into like some other interest. Like maybe I like playing pool and then I turn professional. Don't know, right? So it's like I guess like probably at the end of the day, like in debating itself, I don't hope for much. It's just that I hope that, you know, like when people look back in 2023's Team Malaysia, they still remember that Yang Ming was there lah. Like kind of like that. But I guess on a broader level for the legacy in debate, like I think it's like Mai said something important to us before, is that like if you win something, like you feel a bit happy for like 2 hours. Like after I won nationals in 2021, like Umar has won it 4 times. Like all of us like got happy for like an hour or so, and then after dinner it's just like, okay lah, life moves on lah, nothing much. But it's like it's what the people that you bring up or the people that you helped inspire in some way or another, and in the end when they credit you or when they actually do achieve success, like I think that's one of the more proud moments that I have. Like I hope that the coaches that, you know, like brought me up to where I am today are like proud of where I am, and they like are happy about it. But I guess it does mean a lot when I see the juniors of myself, because I like from my high school, the Form 1 people that I knew when I joined the club in 2020, and I was like class president in 2021, like they were Form 2, like just won nationals this year, and I was a part of like the people who coached them for probably the week or 2 weeks before nationals, and seeing them win and seeing the results announcement was just, it's just very inspiring lah. Like not gonna lie, I cried a bit inside lah. It's all of those things that make up your legacy. But I don't hope for much. I just hope for like more people to be where we could be here today because of, you know, the thing lah. So yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Alright, well, yeah, I hope that you will get your wish. And thank you so much for investing in the younger generation and also for taking part in this interview.
Thank you so much.
You are an inspiration to many, many Malaysians out there, and it's been an honor to speak with you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So cool, inspiration.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, love, love.
Live, laugh, love.
Okay, much love. Team Malaysia, everybody. So that's
Yes, sir.
alright.
Thank you.
Now, signing off. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.